there everybody, my name is Kat Bowser. I'm your resident fantasy therapist and welcome back to my channel. Those of you here for the first time, welcome. My name is Kat Bowser. I'm a licensed therapist. I'm also a writer working on my first couple novels for publication, and on my channel I like to talk about what I consider to be the heart of writing, and that's the characters. So I like to dig into their psychology, why they do the things they do, all that kind of stuff. Hey guys, so today we're going to be doing a tag. This is the horror life tag, and it was I just caught it being done by You're the Author, and I thought it sounded like fun. Horror is actually a genre that I do like. I haven't written much in it, but I do enjoy it, so I thought it'd be fun to kind of dive into it a little bit. First question, what is the first horror movie you remember seeing? That would be the TV version of It. My sister showed it to me. I believe I was like six or seven, and it scared the crap out of me. I still really enjoy it, and there is a certain, I think, character to it that the new movie lacks, and I don't know what. I couldn't tell you what it was. There's just, I think there's more chemistry than in the new one, and I think Tim Curry does make a better Pennywise. Nothing against the new actor. I think he does a brilliant job, but there's just something to the first one, and I distinctly remember my sister chasing me around the house after we saw the movie, and she could imitate Tim Curry's Pennywise voice very, very well. And so she would chase me around saying, "Do you want a balloon?" And it drove me crazy. Gee, what's the first horror book you ever read? Probably one of the Fear Street books. My sister was really into Fear Street when I was in elementary school, and I was encouraged to read Goosebumps. I didn't like them very much. There was one that I did like. I think it was Life at Horrorland or A Day at Horrorland, something like that, and I liked that one. But I remember starting with Fear Street, so I think that's why I didn't like Goosebumps as much, because I had started with the more mature horror, I guess, because my sister read them, so whenever she was done reading one, she would give them to me and I would read them. So I don't remember the first Fear Street book I read. Yeah, I can't remember exactly which one, but yeah, it was definitely a Fear Street book. 3, what movie made you a horror fan? Good question. Probably Wes Craven's New Nightmare. My sister again showed this to me when I was about 13, and it scared me to death. But it also got me interested in the other Nightmare on Elm Street movies, which I still think are very, very good. Not all of them, but especially the earlier ones are pretty good. And especially now that I'm older and I've gone into psychology, I really appreciate the idea of an enemy that can stalk your dreams and knows your deepest fears, and there's something about that that's just creepy and unsettling. So yeah, probably that one. Number 4, what book made you a horror fan? Probably the Fear Street, 99 Fear Street trilogy. This was one I read, again, when my sister got done with hers, I read it. And it was the first one that really stuck with me. There's 3 books in it, and the first and the third one are really good. The second one is kind of meh, but it's not horrible. But I think this appealed to me because it has a haunted house, it has possession, it has monsters and ghosts and all that stuff. So all the classic horror kind of tropes, and 99 Fear Street has it. I pretty much, the first one stuck with me the most. Third one is a really good conclusion, but the first one stuck with me the most just because I think that had the most atmosphere to it. So yeah, probably the 99 Fear Street trilogy. Number 5, what is your favorite horror movie of all time? John Carpenter's Halloween. My mom and I started a tradition of we would watch it together every Halloween, and every year it always scared me, and every year I kept watching it. And I think for me, before Michael gets more into this, you know, the supernatural, like the Curse of Thorn and all that stuff that comes up in the later movies, he was just this evil entity that just kind of stalked people, and to me, the unknown is what made him so interesting, and that's actually why I don't like the remakes of the Halloween, because they tell you too much information. There is a lot more fear in what you don't know than what you do know. So And I think just the way Dr. Loomis describes him, that you guys know exactly what speech I'm talking about.
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, and even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up, because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
This speech has always stuck with me, and it will probably always stick with me. Number 6, what's your favorite horror book of all time? I'm very picky on my horror, so you guys aren't going to see a lot of new ones in here, because I've tried a lot of new horror and I still have yet to find one that I really like. I did find one, Splitter by Caitlin Keller, I believe it is. I'll double check and I'll put it in the description. That was really good, and it was for survivalist horror, which is my favorite. But I think probably my favorite is probably the Cheerleader trilogy from Fear Street, because it deals with a girl who loses her sister to an evil spirit and essentially now has to fight this evil spirit through the next 3 books. And I just think that emotional weight adds to it, and you kind of learn a lot about the history of the evil spirit without giving away too much. And I just think it's very well put together, has background, has atmosphere, and so that's still my favorite. Number 7, your favorite horror trope. The haunted house and trying to get away from like the haunted mansion or a haunted city or something. I like survival horror. I want to see a main character that's trying to get away from a scenario where she or he is essentially being chased and is likely to get killed if they don't know what they're doing. That's the kind of horror I prefer, and I'm not real sure why. I don't mind like traditional ghost stories. I don't mind psychological horror. I actually do like psychological horror. But for me, there's nothing more thrilling than following a main character as they're trying to get out of essentially a hell house. Number 8, why do you love horror? For me, while the adrenaline rush is fun, I'm not going to say it's not. It's always been me being able to cheer on the main character. I am one of those weirdos that actually prefers horror where somebody actually lives and the good guy actually wins, which apparently is not a common thing, but that's me. I love to see characters struggle and overcome. That is one thing I love about reading, is seeing a character struggle, learn, overcome, and essentially outsmart whatever it is that they are potentially going to be victim to. So that is my preference. And this is actually where the tag ends, but I wanted to add something else, because my horror influence actually does not stop with books and movies. It actually is video games. When I was a kid, I played the original Alone in the Dark, the old DOS game. I mean, the graphics are horrible now, but it's still fun to play, where essentially you play a character in an old haunted mansion, and you're having to find out why it is essentially overcome with demons and monsters. And it leads you on this quest where you have to solve puzzles, you have to read books in the library and not get killed. You have to figure out how to subdue some of the monsters, because some of them cannot be killed. Some of them can only be killed a certain way. Some of them you have to avoid to get an item and get back out. So all those kinds of things. And there was a lot of H.P. Lovecraft influence that I did not see when I was a kid, because I had no idea who H.P. Lovecraft was when I was a kid. But now that I'm older, I can definitely appreciate it. Even though I have beaten the game numerous times, it is still so much fun to read through and to play through, and I never got bored doing it. The other game was The Seventh Guest, which was one game that I actually never did beat. My dad beat it, and he called me in and said, "Hey, come look at this," because some of the puzzles near the end are very complicated. They're very hard. But it's another one of those where it's a manor, and it is haunted by spirits, monsters, some kind of magic. You're not entirely sure what. And you have to solve all these puzzles as you go through this manor, and you discover all these secret passages, an actual dungeon with like a surgery area where it looks like experiments were done, lots of different stuff like that. And I just found exploring it was the most fun, because I never knew what I was going to discover, and there was a lot of atmosphere to like almost no lights, some broken down rooms. You find some rooms with the remains of murders and things like that. And so to me, it was a lot of fun, very interesting. And so that's actually the kind of horror I prefer, is where it's much more exploring, and then you have bursts of danger. And I think what makes it interesting is you don't know when those bursts are coming. So that's me. So thank you guys for chiming in for my tag. As always, if you guys want to do the tag yourself, consider yourself tagged. I would love to see your thoughts. Feel free to leave your comments, suggestions below. I'll get to them as soon as I can. I upload twice a week, so if you want to make sure you don't miss when I upload, make sure you subscribe and ring that bell. And until next time, stay safe. Have a good one.